Hey, how are you? Welcome to day 2 of the Mental Power Challenge. Now, we are kicking off the day with Yetty Williams, the founder of LagosMoms.com, and today is gem packed, and I mean gems. She's got loads of gems that she's sharing, so I get the chance to interview Yetty to bring the goodness of her work as a coach, an entrepreneur, and mom to you. Now, today's topic is about how to activate your mommy power, live an abundant life, and improve your mental health. Now, whether you're a mother or not, Yetty shares a lot of gems that are really helping to crystallize how you show up in the world. So we dig deep and we talk about all of it. Now, we are most excited about the simple daily challenges that we share with you to increase your mental power. So we want you to get the simple tools to help you excel and to grow and live the life that you imagine for the highest version of yourself. So we hope you tune in and enjoy the interview. Hello and welcome to the Mental Power Challenge 2020. I am here with Yetty Williams, founder and creator of Lagos Moms, and I am profiling her today because we're talking about how to activate your mommy power and live an abundant life while improving your mental health. So I have so many questions to ask you, Yetty, and I'm excited. So I will let you do the honors. I could gladly do the honors, but I think I want the people, I want our watcher, our viewer right now to hear from you. Give us some details about who you are, what you do, who you serve.
Okay, great. Thanks, Yetunde. I'm looking forward to this conversation. So let me start with introduction. My name is Yetty Williams. I'm a mother, married. I have 2 children, now 12 and 10. And I'm the founder and creator of Lagos Moms. And Lagos Moms is a family and parenting resource for moms, parents, and caregivers. And so a little bit about my background. So I have Bachelor's of Science in Economics and Math from University of Pittsburgh. And then I went on to get an MBA from the Yale School of Management. And after that, I worked for a couple of years in financial services, consulting, real estate. So when you talk about pivoting, I have pivoted because I've literally gone from, somebody who thought she would be in a certain, industry or sector or just walk throughout and retire.
Right.
And that has changed. So talking about education, I then went back to school 2 years ago to get a degree in strategic digital media marketing from University of Cambridge. So I've done a lot of studying, a lot of, trying to make sure that I know the book, right? I know exactly the material I'm learning. But honestly, my passion, my purpose, what I was clearly put on earth to do is family, parenting, working with women, and making sure that women are living their most abundant lives. And what my varied background allows me to do is it brings everything together. And literally speak to women on a lot of fronts where we connect as a woman, as a business person, as a career woman, entrepreneur, and everything. So that's where the whole abundant living coach, which is something I call myself, that's where that comes in, is that every single person should be thriving.
I love it. I love it. See, she comes with receipts, like a lot of receipts. So I am so glad and excited to be asking you these questions today. So let's start. The first question I have in mind is, did you have thoughts, or were you one of those little girls that had thoughts and dreams of being a mom? And what was that like for you? And at what age did you really embody, the thinking of mommy life?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I remember when I became a mom for the first time and I was very hands-on. I wanted to do everything myself. I was breastfeeding exclusively. My mom could not believe. She was like, "Where did you come from?" Because it was almost opposite of how I was raised. I was definitely not a very, oh my God, I play with dolls, I can't wait to be a mom, talking about motherhood and baby. I was so not that person.
Wow.
So it's been a real journey, even for me, to see the switch, which is why I'm very big. I never label people because you just don't know. You don't know what your journey is going to look like. You really don't know where you're headed. So it's so important that you don't put yourself into any box.
Right.
you know?
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I would never have guessed. I would have pictured you with your dolls and having tea parties and like the whole bit, you know?
No, no, no.
Wow, that's incredible. So when you finally became a mom, what was the most surprising thing about this, like your new role as a mom? What was the most surprising thing for you? And if you can give us an
Yeah.
example of something that happened.
Okay. So probably the first thing was I fell in love with coffee. Straight up. Is the first thing. Coffee became my, I literally had to win myself off coffee some years ago. But that was when I started drinking coffee. Because I was also, I guess because I've always loved understanding how things work. Okay. And that's something about how, you know, in terms of looking back on childhood, because I'm very big on trying to connect the dots as things become clearer. I think it's important we try to connect the dots and see were there certain things that were there that I didn't harness properly, or are there certain things I should understand the pattern so that it can help me in my parenting and in my work today as a coach and, you know, consultant. So definitely when I had my first child, I was always on Google. I was online all the time. And I was doing
your best
that.
friend.
Yeah, so Google and coffee. And and so interestingly, that's where Lagos Moms came out of, because every time I went online, every time I searched for something, I found that there was very little for me as a mother based in Lagos or Nigeria. Right. A lot of the things I was finding was taking me to the US, to the UK, and it just didn't fully connect with me as a mother here in Nigeria. So that's when I said, you know what, I'm sure I'm not the only one who would love to connect with other parents who would love to figure out, you know, have some kind of online resource that could help me as a mom locally. So that was actually when I started Lagos Moms, was when I had my second child at home. So anyway, so what was the most surprising thing about motherhood? It was I was always trying to research. I didn't believe in just downloading everything that my mother and mother-in-law and grandmom and aunties had all done, you know. And I think the big reason why I started going online was a very funny story. So I had done all this research, and research has shown that, you know, your baby doesn't need water, doesn't need formula if you are breastfeeding exclusively. Right. But mind you, my mom and mother-in-law, bless them, I love them, but they were coming from a perspective of, what are you talking about? Of course your child needs water. Breast milk is not enough. So we had this argument in the early days, and Google was my answer, because I would go there, I would find research, I would confirm with my doctor, and then I would tell them, do you see, things are different, things have changed. So that was really when I started noticing that there was all this information that was out there. You know, so yes, that would answer your question of what was.
I can totally imagine that. That's incredible. That's incredible. So how did you activate? Like, you know, you done the research. You didn't grow up as the kid who wanted to be a mom. Didn't imagine it, and then you became one, and you were this fantastic mom. And you breastfed, and you did your research so that you can be a good mom. So when did you activate your mommy power? When would you say, or when did you feel like you know, because as a mom now, there's something that clicks, and I now I know it. So when would you say you activated your mommy power?
That's a really good question. You know, I think that probably happened after my second child was about 2-ish. So I had my first one just as I weaned her off, because I allowed them to wean themselves off breastfeeding. That's how hardcore I was as a new mom. And I mean, I surprised myself. I was like, you know what? I don't want to force them off it. So I allowed them to wean themselves off. And that happened when my first one was about 15 months. Wow. And right after that, and I thought, phew, a little bit of a break. Right. I found out I was pregnant with number 2 within like maybe a month of that. So I was literally in shock initially. I was like, I'm what? I'm pregnant, you know? So I was in a little bit of shock initially, but I was like, all right. So I gave birth to him in my turn 2 the month before. So I had a 2-year-old, fresh 2-year-old, and a toddler. It was a crazy time, you know? But so I call myself that I say I was a cow.
Because you were milking all the time?
I mean, I was a cow for 30 months straight.
I love it.
Second baby comes, I breastfeed him too as well for 15 months. So really, for like a
Wow.
good
Wow.
3-year chunk of
Wow.
time.
That's incredible. Like, bravo. Like, really.
Thank you. I'm patting
Pat
myself.
on the back. Yeah, you need it. Totally.
So, so after all of that, I definitely will tell you, I lost a sense of who Yetty was. I just became wife, I became mother, and that was what took off. It was just trying to survive. I thought I would never sleep through the night again. I was ODing on
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
There was so much going on.
Yeah.
I took a trip. I took a trip away by myself when my baby was 2 and the older one was so about 4. And I went away myself to Dubai for 4 nights and 5 days.
Wow.
I just knew I needed that time. This
Time,
wasn't about
right.
waiting for permission. This wasn't about what
Right.
anybody would say that especially here in Nigeria, you are leaving your husband.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Going away. Hello, hi, are you joking? So I took off. And the first thing that happened, I can just feel it now again. The first morning when I woke up in the hotel room on the bed, my first thought was, oh my goodness, I'm alone. I can go back to sleep if I want. I don't have to rush to make anybody's breakfast or warm milk. I just lay like a kid on the bed with my arms stretched out. And I just sat up at the ceiling and said, wow, and I think in that moment, something hit me. Being a mother and being a wife, they are blessings, but that is not the only thing I was put on earth to do.
Right.
And I think when I was able to own that and say, Yetty still matters.
Right. To cut you off, just to be clear, for some people, they feel like being a mom and a wife is their purpose. That's fine. We're not saying anything is wrong with that. But for some people, that's not the only thing that is fulfilling for them.
Exactly. So exactly. Just to be very clear, like I said, that's why I said being a wife and a mother are the biggest blessings in my life.
Right.
But that's not all I was put on earth to do. And why I say that is there are some people who will never get married. There are some people who will never have children. As women, that doesn't mean they're incomplete, and that doesn't mean they don't have anything to strive for and live for. So that's probably when I started to own the whole mommy power. Is being a mother is one of the things I'm meant to do. It's part of who I am. It's part of the blessings I've received from God. Fantastic. But what about everything else? And that was when I heard very clearly. I hear from God quite clearly. And I remember him saying, there's a reason why your mentor is a Proverbs 31 woman. And I was like, he said, go read it. Because up to that point, if somebody, a lot of people, when you ask them, who's your role model? Who do you look up to? A lot of people would say maybe their mom. Right? Now, I love my mom, but the reason why I wouldn't have said my mom was I felt that everything else was put on hold to be a mom and a wife. And I don't feel that she was particularly fulfilled, because when you put everything on hold for people, there will always be a sense of disappointment that you didn't.
Say it again. That is so true. So true.
Yes, you can't put anything on hold for people. If you're going to put it on hold, put it on hold because you chose to put it on hold. But don't say I did this for you. I put my career on hold for you. I didn't push as much as I could because of it will always cause a little bit of resentment and a feeling of, so I always very early on thought, I don't know if that is what I want to repeat. So when I got this message, I said, oh my goodness. So on this trip where I was by myself, I had taken my big fat Bible with me because I planned to go into detail with the word during this time. And when I went through and I understood what the abundant living woman meant, the Proverbs 31 woman, my eyes were open because she had every single area on point. Her marriage was blessed. Her home was blessed. She was an investor. She was a businesswoman. She looked good because he talked about the velvet and purple, and that signifies royalty and wealth and beauty. So for me, that was where, after that holiday, I changed forever.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That is so incredible. That is incredible. And I'm a supporter of having some mommy time.
just to get away to get back to you. And I experienced that too, because I had gone to Nigeria. That's when you and I met, that was like the first time I was away from our girls, and they were like a little over 1 year old, and I was only gone for a week. And Nigeria, everybody's like, Ofo, you left your kids with your husband. I was like, first of all, he is their father. They will be all right. So they were all looking at me. They're like, oh, dad, you. I'm like, what is everybody stressing out about? They're good. Like, So, and I needed that 1 week because it recharged me to the things I love doing. Like, you need a minute to reset, reconnect back to you, because before then you're like literally a food source for your child. And as long as you accept that for that time, it's not personal. Like, you're a food source because this creature, this human being, this life that you have brought into this world that you've been blessed with has to survive and needs you. Exactly. So there's no emotion, anything. It's like, feed me, burp me, wipe my butt. Like, that's it, So thank you for sharing that. That's really awesome. Thank you. All right. So next question I have for you is, now this one I really like, I struggled with because, and maybe because I was older when I got married and had our girls, is this: why do you think that most mothers don't share the real sincere details with other moms or soon-to-be moms of like that whole process? Like, what is it? Because for me now, maybe because of my age, I share like freaking, I share. I'm like, you need to know what you're getting into as a wife and as a mom. There's two different levels of understanding. And I never understood why women don't share like openly. Like, they will share, but you have to like be really close to them or dig deep. I'm like, it's not that deep. Just freaking share. So why do you think, what is it that, why is that happen? What is it? What do you think is the reason?
Yeah. So, I think we're probably the first, maybe we are the first generation of, because remember I mentioned when I had my child, I was doing a lot of Google. Google was, how old is Google? I think it's 20 years old, kind of. Right. Yes, right. But in terms of being like the go-to source for information and having all the information it is, my daughter, when she was born she's going to be 13 this year, it was new. The internet was still this new source. So I think we're probably the first generation of parents who have an alternative source of parenting information. So I think we came into an environment where we're sharing a little bit more. A new mother today is sharing much more than even I think I did. So a mother today is going to tell you what she's really struggling with. They're going to let you know how it is. So I think one of the things also is we've moved away from that idea of sacrificial motherhood, where I put my priorities don't even get on the list.
Right.
They don't even get on the list. Talk less of being number 10 in a list of 11. They don't even make it on the list. So I think we're moving away from that. There's the Yoruba saying, Moba or Koku, something like that. Like, you get married and it's just, you carry your husband on your head till the day you will. I mean, all of us, and I'm being
different generation, man. No.
So different. Obviously, we have to be careful not to swing too much to the extreme, which is some of what we're seeing, where there are people who are just like, your husband irritates you and like, speak to the hand, I'm out.
Obviously, respect is important, obviously.
Exactly. Right. There's the balance and mutual respect, actually. Mutual respect.
Right.
So I think that's why a lot of things are starting to change. People now are seeing that, what, I'm not about that kind of sacrificial life where I forget who I am or I'm an unhappy person just to make the home seem to be together. A lot of children today have been damaged because they grew up in this home where the mother had no voice. She felt sacrifice equal being a good wife. And that sacrifice meant not speaking up, not having an opinion, not asking questions, not fulfilling your dreams, not living your most abundant life because society or somebody has told you a woman's place is
in the house and the kitchen. Oh my God, no.
So when you start, and I'm very atypical. So let me explain. I don't like to cook.
I love it.
I make no apologies for it. I can't remember the last time I went into the kitchen and actually, to the point that one holiday, we went away and I was making something and my son, very innocently, he said, wow, mommy, you can cook. But that didn't upset me, you know? You know, typical woman. How can you say that?
Yeah. You're like,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, yeah, honey, I actually can cook. I'm pretty well too. So I finished it and he ate it. He was like, Mommy, this is so good. I'm like, I can cook very well. But you know what? It's just not something
Your cup of
that
tea, right.
just not, and I just made it very fun and we had a fun conversation and we moved on, So
That's
I think even saying that, there are women who would still look at you today like, how can you say you don't like
yeah, please. Like, look, as much as I love cooking, I have a whole food brand around cooking, I'm still like, I like the freedom of not cooking.
Yeah.
Period. Like, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll tell my husband I'm gonna cook tonight, and then I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a babe. I don't feel like it. You want to order Thai food? Done. And we've been together for almost 12 years now. Like, no.
Simple.
Like, I don't always want to cook, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. Period.
Good.
Yeah.
Exactly. So things like that. So I really think like we're in a new dispensation now where we're being more open, we're realizing that being a woman, there's no cookie cutter, there's no box saying what I can or cannot do. So for example, if we get a new product in the house or an electronics, I love electronics. So if it comes into the house, I'm probably the one who's going to put it together and read the instruction manual. My husband can't be bothered, but there's a typical, there's that idea that that's what men do. I love putting things together. So I think just breaking apart what these labels are. I've always been a little bit of a rebel, even I'm a quiet one, but I'm always the one that pushes. I'm always like, why? Right. Growing up, I used to drive my mom crazy because I would always say, why? I want to understand why. Right. And she would be like, because I said so. And I'm like, that's not good enough.
You're like, that's not good enough for me. I need more. I love it.
I want to know more. So that has really poured into everything. And I think it all makes sense with a lot of what I do today. Right. I really want to understand why. I want to get to the basics of stuff. Right. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I agree with you that some women are starting to share, but I still think a majority of women, even our generation, are like, you have to dig deep. And I'm like, it's not that deep. Just share. It'll just make it easier. Like, more moms would do a better job being a better mom, being a better wife. Like, freaking share. Like, just share. So I think it's a thing of, there's nothing to be ashamed of, first of all. Second of all, you're probably not the only one going through that. Third of all, it's a freaking network. It's, we're supposed to support each other, and let's just do that. Let's just do that. Let's do more of that, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question to you is, how would you define an abundant life as a mom? And what does living an abundant life mean to you?
Great question. So I actually wrote it down. I went to look for some definitions of abundance. Okay. There were lots of them. Okay. But the few that I wrote down were, abundance means plentiful, large quantities. So just imagine like a stream of water just flowing and flowing. So abundance for me just means you are living your best life. You're being your most authentic self to who you are. You understand who you are. You understand that you're meant to actually thrive. And I love that word thrive, because there's an idea of survive. Survival just means this idea of grunt work, wake up every day and I'm just, you go to work, you complain, you're in traffic, you complain, you get home, you complain. There's just a sense of, you're just grinding. You're a mother, you complain, oh my God, there's so much homework. Oh my, no. Thriving is just taking a deep breath and seeing everything as plentiful, in abundance. I have more than enough. There's enough to go around. Right. There's no sense of, oh my God, if that person got it, then that means I can't get it. Or an idea that because Yetunde is she focuses on purposeful, being a purposeful woman and living that kind of life, then I think, oh my goodness, my message about abundant life, there's no space for two of us, whereas there's space for more than enough of us. Yeah. So that's the sense of abundance. Right. So for me, when somebody says, for example, do I feel I have competition? Like, who are my competitors? And I say I don't have any competition, and I don't say that from a place of feeling like I'm. I totally get it. I get it. What I mean is, the pie is large enough for all of us. So I don't see competition, because nobody can be exactly Yetty Williams. That's right. Doing things the way I do it, talking about stuff the way I will talk about it. My experiences are unique to me, and nobody else can do that or talk about it the way I can. So I don't put my ladder against anybody else's wall. I put my ladder against my own wall. And I'm measuring myself by myself, for myself. So that's how I see abundance. That idea that there's more than enough, you know, there's more than enough to go around. I myself am a bubbling well, you know, there's freshness coming from me every day. There's creativity coming from me every day. There's inspiration coming from every angle. When you live like that, I'm not saying I don't have some days where I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. What I do is I go back into bed. You know, I move the duvet around a little bit.
Right? Reset, snooze button, reset.
Reset. Then I try it again and wake up on another side.
I love
but
it.
That's, for me, that's abundance, honestly.
I love it. I love it. And I think I love your thing about no competition, and for me, when I think about that, the thing that is my motivation for how I work is I'm competing with the version of me that I'm trying to get to. Like, so my competition is the higher version of me that I'm like, that self-actualized version of myself. That is my competition. And I'm like, I'm trying to get to her, and I know she's going to keep going further. So it pushes up the ladder, you know, further and further. So I'm with you on you being, your own competition is the Yetunde from 20 years that you're trying to be, and like you're starting now with her, you know. So yeah, totally. Awesome. All right. So can you tell us, with your expertise and experience and as an abundant living coach, how can we improve our lives as moms to live abundantly?
Okay. Great question. And I think the analogy I'm going to bring in here is, so I'm also a neurolinguistic practitioner, which I know you are as well. And one of the things that did for me was to teach me that your brain is essentially like a muscle, or it is a muscle. Yeah. And with the life you want to envision, you can either get it or not get it based on your actions.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is we control so much more than we think we do. So the minute you become the CEO of your life, right? The minute that it's easier for you to visualize what is the life that you want and how are you going to get there. So the concept of a wheel of life is, imagine a car. What kind of tire do you want it? What do you expect that car to have to give you a pretty good ride? It needs to be well pumped with air. It shouldn't have expired. It needs to get a check now and then. If it gets a nail in it or a stone punctures it, you have to, what's the word now? You have to fix it, right?
You either have to plug it or replace the tire, but something's got to happen.
But if you want that car to continue to move the way it should, or a bicycle, the wheel has to be perfectly round and well formed and all of that. So it's the same thing with your life. And you know, in a wheel, there are different prongs. You know, the prongs, not prongs. The different prongs. Mm-hmm. There are about 8 to 12 of them, depending on the style of the wheel you're looking at. So it's the same thing with your life. Every area takes one spot there. So there's self-esteem, there's contentment, there's where you are as a family, with your relationships, with your spiritual awareness, security. So you need to be able to look at all those things in your life and say, where do I fall? You know, if I was thinking of me as my will of my life, where do I fall? Am I moving at the pace, in the way, in the direction I want? Or is something not quite aligned? Now, when you find something that's not working the way you want, it is not time for a pity party. I don't believe in pity party. So if something is not working, who can fix it? You. Who can do something about it? You. Only you. So now you focus on, what are the things that I control, that I can do something about. It doesn't suggest that I have all the answers. Something that I might need to do is to reach out to you, Yetunde, like I did. Was it 2 years ago you came to Lagos? I just felt this fantastic lady I only know from Instagram. I'm going to reach out and say hi and see if we could meet up. And we did, you know, and you helped to unlock a part. That's a conversation for another day, by the way. But you helped to unlock a part of myself that I had been struggling with a little bit, you know, and that simple, what might seem like a chance meeting, helped me to unlock an area that was important to me to unlock. So many times what makes abundance possible is to be able to say it. If you can say it, you can slay it.
Mhm.
That's something I say all the time.
I have goosebumps. That's a tweetable hashtag. If you can
Hashtag.
say, if you can say it, you can slay it.
Yes, if you can say it, you can say it.
I love it.
If you can't say, this is what I want, this is how I feel, this is what I would prefer, you can't just feel everything into reality. You need to write the vision, make it plain, so that when you read it, you can say, you know what? Yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I would like to achieve. This is what Yetty in 20 years' time looks like. I can verbalize that. I can say that. So I can start to slay each area purposefully, intentionally, with the view that abundance is mine. It's my birthright, and I can harness that. So that's really what I think it means to be an abundant woman. How do you live that life as a mother? It's all those areas, your relationship, your spouse, if you're a single mom, it's your reality. Say it, and then say, what are we going to do to slay it?
Ooh, I love that. I got goosebumps. All right. Next question. Let's do this. So how does mommying affect, how does mommying and the effort that it takes to maintain abundance affect our mental health? Because, you know, I love that you're suggesting that we imagine it basically and then make it happen. Like, you know, what you know is what happens. So my question to you is, in maintaining that abundant living / being a mom / being a wife, right? It can be overwhelming for a lot of people. So what advice would you give us in terms of maintaining all the things we have to do to keep that abundant living mindset, because it's work to keep that mindset, and our actual mental health, and how does that affect us? So mommying, abundant living activation, and mental health, how does that affect us?
Right. You know, mental health is a state of mind. And for you to have a strong, healthy mental health state is that you are able to function in a way that serves you. So that's my very layman terms of what mental health means. Right? So if that's what I need to be in a state that I can serve
you. That is not detrimental to you, but serves you. I love that. Right.
So when that's what your mental health, is this serving me or not? And everything seems like hard work when you first start. I remember when I started exercising for the first time, trying to get my tummy back to something I recognized after children. Of course, it was tough when I started, you know, the sit-ups and all of that. But over time, it got easier. It's the same thing with when we're stretching our mental muscle to say, there's a certain way I want to start to operate, to think. Initially, it takes a lot of effort, but over time it becomes like quick snap, you're quicker. You're able to say, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't fit where I'm trying to go right now. That doesn't fit this season. So to answer your question about how you balance it all, number one is get comfortable with saying no. N-O. Like, can we just pause there? It is okay to say no by itself and not have to make any excuses for it.
My mom always says no is a complete sentence. Yep. Just no.
Exactly. So every time you feel you have to say no and qualify by, I'm so sorry, or you're trying to make excuses, that means you're beating yourself up. That means it's not a no that comes from a place of, I'm saying no right now because I want to say yes to something else. Right. And there's a book I read many years ago, and it was a big book. But the only thing I took out of it was that every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And it's every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Right. So you want to be in control of your yeses as much as possible, so that you're not saying no to the things you really want to say yes to. So let me make it very practical. If you're a mom, like for example, your beautiful twins are young, they're under 2 or 3, right?
They're about to be 3, yeah.
Okay. So what they demand from you is much different than I that have almost teenagers.
Right.
And compare our lives right now to each other in terms of the demand on our time, right? So it's important also that we don't compare ourselves. So you see somebody on the gram and she seems to just be winning in all areas. She seems to be at every event. She seems to look totally put together all the time, doesn't have an extra ounce of fat on her body. And you're thinking, my goodness, isn't she also a mom? But maybe, I mean, the truth is her reality is so different from yours. And the truth, so we have to be careful not to compare. We have to be comfortable with saying no. We have to be comfortable with deciding what we want to do in the season of life that we're in. And the third thing is you have to get rid of guilt. I'm going to give you another tweetable quote. Okay. Every time, guilt is the thief of joy.
Ooh. Yes, that's a tweetable.
I mean, guilt is a thief of joy. And I see this in all directions. You have a mom who's a stay-at-home mom, so she has all the time for her children. She can be at every play, and she's feeling bad because even though she has a PhD, she's thinking, am I just now a mom? Right? You have the mom who's earning some big bucks in the office, and because she's earning so well, her family is experiencing some opportunities just because of how much maybe they bring in as a family. But she's feeling guilty every time she can't be at a play, or she can't pick them up from school every day. So those two moms are letting guilt steal their joy. It's stealing both of, they're both feeling guilty, so they're not enjoying where they are. They're not enjoying that moment. They're not enjoying that season. So it's really critical that we just ensure that we get rid of those things, where we get rid of feeling guilty. We accept that we can't do everything at the same time, at the same level of priority. And it's okay between seasons through our lives.
I love it. Okay, so my next question to you is, and I'm looking down, guys, because I'm reading the questions I have for Yetty here. What should our generation be doing differently to be more sincere and supportive of the real mommy life?
Be honest.
Tell them, Yetty, tell them.
Just be honest. I mean, one of the things I say a lot is no emotion in itself is bad. Nothing. So if you feel down, you feel down. That is, remember what I said earlier, if you can say it, you can slay it.
Yeah.
So if it's not working for you, you just say, all right, why am I feeling this way? What in my life has changed? Maybe you've taken on too many yeses. Maybe you're overwhelmed now because you just feel like I should say yes to everything. Maybe you're on more webinars right now than you should be. Hello, hi. There are a lot of people there. I counted
like 3 yesterday. I'm like, no,
it's webinar overkill right now.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Oh, so just be honest with yourself. And what season are you in your life? Like I mentioned earlier, please don't compare yourself. We never should, but there's nothing worse. And this is something I see a lot of, which is why I'm emphasizing on it. A lot of women who are comparing their mom's state with other mothers, but you're not at the same stage in your lives. Your children are different ages. So the demand they have on your time is totally different. So you cannot compare yourself to somebody who has passed a particular season, is in a different season, and you're saying, but she seems to be dealing with it fine. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I really think we just have to be honest, especially because of the influence that social media has on our mental health. I don't care how old you are. FOMO is real. Fear of missing out. That everybody else, that idea that everybody else has their life figured out and you don't, FOMO creeps in. No matter what, it does. So when you're just honest, just be honest. And so if you get off, for example, social media, and you find yourself feeling a little some way, maybe it's time for a digital media fast. Maybe you need to get off for a few days, or you need to unfollow some people. So I think honesty will take us a long way in doing things differently this generation.
I love it. I thank you. I'm loving this. So in terms of just the overall connection between activating mommy power and abundant living and mental health, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share? Something that we should all walk away with so that we can activate immediately and get results?
Yes. So I think the one thing I love to say a lot of, and something that I was practicing very intentionally till now it's become second nature, is just not feeling guilty. So if I say no, period. And I don't rush to say yes to things, because that helps you to also really test what you're saying yes to. Because listen, as a woman, we've only talked about 2 roles largely here, being a wife and a mother. there is being a church worker. There's
Mm,
being a bus lady,
right.
being an employee,
Right. An
I don't know,
employer. Yeah.
employer, being a
Yeah.
sister, a friend. What else do we have? There's so many hats. So
I don't
imagine all of those people were
know.
asking for 1 hour of your time every day, and you kept saying yes. I think we've already called like 12 areas. You will constantly be at burnout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you feel the need
Yeah.
to say yes to everybody and everything that comes your way. As women, a lot of us as girls are taught where many times means being agreeable, even when it doesn't serve you. So if that's what you are used to, it's very difficult to get comfortable with that. So I think for me, the takeaway is mental power means you own your mental state.
Right.
Nobody can do it for you. So be honest with yourself and ensure that what you're committing yourself to, because I'm seeing a lot of burnout at this time. You would think people being at home during this, lockdown period means people are being more restful. In a funny way, everybody is running around more ragged than before. It's almost like, oh my God, I can't be found wanting at the end of this period. So also it's causing a certain level of stress.
Anxiety, right.
And I think we just need to, yes.
Right. Okay.
So that's it from me in terms of what a practical takeaway is today.
I love it. So just let us know, where can we find you? Where can we connect to you? If anyone's interested in working with you or learning more about Lagos Moms, what's coming up and where can we find you?
Okay. So I have 2 hats that I wear. And so the one hat is as, a parenting coach, helping you being a best mom, dad, caregiver possible. And for that information, you can get a lot of it from my website, lagosmoms.com, or connect with me on Instagram, which is where I spend a lot of my social media time. And that's Lagos Moms, at Lagos Moms on Instagram. So the moms is spelled MUMS. And then the other hat I wear is helping business owners and C-suite executives with their digital media marketing strategy. Okay. So on that hat, you can get more information about me on my website, yetty.com. And connect with me on Instagram at Yetty.
What's the website? Sorry, you froze. What's the website?
YettyWilliams.com.
Okay.
That's perfect. My website. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this was an absolute pleasure and delight. Thank you for all the goodness and gems. And from one mom to another, from an entrepreneur to another, I appreciate you and thank you for making this collaboration, a mental power challenge, happen. And take care, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. It was lovely.
All right.